morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I hope you guys been having a wonderful week. I know I have, and I hope you guys really enjoyed your Easter Sunday, whether it be relaxing at home, going out doing some Easter egg hunting, whether you're a child or an adult, because the adult versions are so much fun. I remember a couple years back, I did an adult Easter egg hunt where there were gift cards for sale, or gift cards if you found them, and oh my god, so many people showed up. They didn't have enough eggs. It was insanity. I mean, people going up to the Easter eggs, pushing people for the Easter eggs. I mean, shoot, they must have looked like children to other people, because that's basically what they was. It was just adult children trying to grab the Easter eggs to find, what, a $5 gift card? I mean, I told myself I'm not doing that again, especially in that area. I mean, if I do it again, I really want there to be some security, because adults can be mean. But anyway, for today's episode, I want to talk about the upcoming Call of Duty game, Gulf War. Now, depending on when you're hearing this, the 2024 Call of Duty game may not be called Gulf War. It may be called Black Ops 6 or whatever name it's going to be called. Rumor has it it's going to be called Gulf War, but for the meantime, if it's changed to another name, just know I'm talking about the Call of Duty game that comes out in 2024. But anyway, I know that we don't have a lot of information on this upcoming game, the next entry in the Call of Duty franchise. But considering that almost every Call of Duty game is basically the same, I thought it wouldn't be too far-fetched to talk about it and talk about the potential modes in the game. Now, this game is going to be the 6th entry in the Black Ops series, set during the Gulf War. For those of you not familiar with this war, it occurred from August 1990 to February of 1991. Now, officially, this war consisted of 2 phases: Operation Desert Shield, which involved operations leading to the buildup of troops and the defense of Saudi Arabia, and Operation Desert Storm, which was the combat phase. There was a lot of moving parts that led up to this war. Like, it goes back to the Reagan era. That's how much background stuff there is. So because of that, I'm going to try to keep this as simple of an explanation on why we got involved as possible, because explaining the entire thing will just take way too long, and I'm not a history podcast, nor am I an expert on this war, so I'm just going to leave the explanation, the background, to the professionals. If you know a history buff that's very familiar about the Middle Eastern wars, they're the person to ask, because this has all the Middle East all over it. But to summarize, Iraq demanded that, I'm probably going to mispronounce this name, Kuwait, pay them, or is it Kuwait? I'm just going to go with Kuwait. Kuwait paid them $10 billion because they had lost some revenue from a previous event. What that event is, again, I don't know. I'm just reading what I know so far. Now, when Kuwait refused and only offered to pay Iraq $500 million, they invaded. The US and other countries in the United Nations got involved because this was basically a move from Iraq to gain control over the lucrative oil supply in the Middle East. Now, with the US's help, we were able to blow back Iraq and just cause severe casualties on their end. Like I said before, this war was from August of 1990 to February of 1991. So it was not a very long war. It was very short compared to modern wars. Now, this all happened during Bush Sr.'s presidency. Not Junior, Senior. And this war actually helped restore American confidence in its position as the world's sole superpower. And it helped exercise the ghost of Vietnam, especially with such a fast victory over Iraq. So while the war did not last long, there is a lot of content to be made because of how many different operations were happening during this war, and especially in different areas. So Treyarch, who's in charge of this year's Call of Duty, will not be without ideas, especially since you had other armies besides the US involved. You had the French army, Saudi Arabia's army, Canada's, British, Italian, and other smaller armies and militia. So I really wouldn't be surprised if during the campaign we alternated between armies and seeing what battles each of these countries had during the Gulf War. Now, I get that many will not want to buy this year's game because Call of Duty really hasn't done anything great with its games in a while and has definitely been declining in popularity. Whether it's due to the controversy from Activision, business decisions with monetization, or the fact that Modern Warfare 3, which came out last year, was nothing but an overglorified DLC with a $70 price tag that keeps getting players or keeps trying to get them to spend money on the freaking battle pass. I may sound angry about it, it's because I am. It's terrible. I don't like Modern Warfare 3 or what they're trying to do with it. And I mean, this game really has sunk my confidence with Activision Blizzard when it comes to making any type of Call of Duty game. But as I say that, the one thing I will say to other naysayers is that this is going to be the first Treyarch game we have gotten in 4 years. I know many will point out that they have been involved in other Call of Duty games, like the most recent one, Modern Warfare 3. And yes, I get that for this Zombies mode, there is nothing really there for us Zombies fans in Modern Warfare 3, because all you have to do is survive, and that's basically it. It's Warzone with zombies, nothing really special. And again, I get that. We really thought that Treyarch was going to blow us away with the zombies mode in Modern Warfare 3, especially since this would be the first time that there would actually be a zombies mode in Modern Warfare, in any Modern Warfare game. But I mean, to be fair, I guess after the failure of the zombies mode in World War II, they didn't really trust Sledgehammer with another zombies mode. And since Modern Warfare 3 had basically a 16-month development cycle, which was half of what a normal Call of Duty development cycle was, they didn't really have much to work with. So knowing that Activision basically gave them half the time to make a full-fledged game, I can't really blame Sledgehammer or Treyarch with how this game really turned out. I can fully blame Activision Blizzard because this was on them. And apparently the reason why they were given a 16-month development cycle is because another Call of Duty game was delayed out of the 2023 window. My guess is that the delayed game is this upcoming game, Gulf War, which honestly wouldn't surprise me since Activision was playing cleanup after the whole Activision Blizzard controversy. So again, I really wouldn't be surprised if this whole screw up was because Blizzard Activision or Activision Blizzard, whatever they want to call themselves, was basically like, okay, we need to throw something out there. We need to throw another game like we've always been doing, a game every year, year after year. And honestly, in my opinion, Call of Duty should have stopped releasing games every year. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, that business model worked, and we really got some really good games with new and exciting stuff. However, as the years passed, each game was basically a copy and paste shell of the previous one, with very few games that actually stood out and were actually good. It was rumored that we wouldn't even be getting a new COD game in 2023, and that we were actually going to get a new game every other year, which would have been smart. It would have given these studios a breath of fresh air to come up with some cool ideas because they didn't have the whole 3-year cycle. They could have waited, they could have come up with something new, a new story, whether it be a fictional war or a new war, instead of rinse and repeat. I mean, look at it this way. Call of Duty went back to World War II so many times that I really don't want another COD game taking place in World War II. At least Battlefield took us to World War I and did a pretty decent job with Battlefield 1. Sure, it had its hiccups, but I mean, it was still pretty cool, especially with the whole blimps and you had the horses. It had some really fun maps. But anyway, going back to Call of Duty, Gulf War is very unique because instead of a 32-month development cycle, this game has a 4-year development cycle, which is the longest development cycle of any Call of Duty game. So for one, I'm expecting great things, especially from Treyarch. And you're probably wondering, what great things am I expecting from Treyarch? Well, for one, I'm expecting a great campaign. Treyarch has a history of delivering some of the most epic campaigns in all of Call of Duty history. The best one they have ever done will always be Black Ops 1. The numbers, that was insane. I remember playing that for the first time, and the ending the twist just blew my mind. And in my opinion, it hasn't been topped. Black Ops 2 came close, especially since it had multiple endings, which was never done before and was never done afterwards which was a shame because that was really good and everybody tried to see about the good ending and the bad ending. Another thing I'm expecting is a fantastic zombies mode. Outbreak that came out in Cold War was one of the best modes they had ever done. It was a breath of fresh air to the whole zombie cycle. I mean, it was an open world map with, of course, limited spacing where you had objectives to complete. There was no timer, so you could take your time and explore the map, gaining levels, leveling up your guns, or gaining money, so the next time you transfer to another world where the difficulty would be ramped up, you wouldn't be outmatched or outplayed. Given the higher you went, the crazier the zombies were, and the special zombies were insane. I remember I was playing Cold War Outbreak, I think about a couple weeks back. Me and my friends were going back to it, and we had to face this gigantic zombie. He was at least like Godzilla height. And we lost. And it was so much fun because it was something new and something we hadn't seen before. And I get people will say, weren't the objectives basically repetitive? Yeah, I mean, sure, they were repetitive, but it didn't really matter because there was always something else you could do in the map. Besides Outbreak, which I'm really hoping they bring back, I'm also expecting round-based zombies maps with some good maps as well. I really didn't mind Cold War zombie maps, but they were very lacking. They weren't the same as Black Ops 1 maps or Black Ops 2. So I really hope they bring back the quality when it comes to these round-based maps. I'm also hoping with these round-based maps or even Outbreak, they have Easter eggs for us to hunt down or include something entirely new to the mix. Again, 4-year development cycle. They had enough time to think all this way through, being the longest Call of Duty game in development. I mean, I remember playing Black Ops 2, going to zombies mode, and seeing transit for the first time. Transit blew my mind with the whole bus, how it was important, and if you ticked off the bus driver, you would be very much screwed. I remember we did it for fun one time and he just kicked us off in the worst possible place in the map and we all died. I mean, it was for laughs, but it was great that we could interact with the map, and if we did something wrong, the map would punish us for it. I mean, heck, I really wouldn't mind going back to some of the old zombies maps from the previous Call of Duty games, as long as it's with new maps and the old maps didn't overshadow the new maps in like quantity wise. Like the new Modern Warfare 3. There's so many old maps in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 that I can't even tell when we get new maps. It's really bad when the old maps outnumber the new. I also expect there to be a lot of maps for multiplayer, so I'm not stuck on the same 5 maps over and over again. And when I say I want a lot of maps, I'm not talking about old maps. I'm talking about new ones. And if they need to add some old maps, then as long as the new maps outnumber the old maps, I'm fine with it. And if there's someone out there thinking to themselves, wait, this is way too much of an ask from Call of Duty and their developers. Trust me when I say these requests are not too much to ask, especially with a 4-year development cycle. And it's something that the studio has done before. Another thing I would love is for there to be no skill-based matchmaking. That has been the annoyance of the Call of Duty series ever since it was implemented. Every time I'm doing well, I end up getting put into an uneven lobby with a bunch of tryhards in one team and a terrible team on the other. And for some reason, I always get put into the terrible team. And no matter how much I try, no matter how much I carry, I can never win because I have to do double the work because the rest of the team sucks. And it's insane. Like I said, it's basically skill-based matchmaking sounds good on paper. But when it's implemented, it's super uneven and I really want things to go back to the way it's supposed to be. Just random. Make it random so there's no complaints. Another thing I want to happen is that I don't want guns being locked away because you haven't done the daily quests. That was the stupidest thing Call of Duty could have ever done. I wanted to go back to where you actually had to level up to unlock the gun. Doing the daily quest to unlock a gun is just dumb. And it makes me not want to play the game because one, I like a certain type of gun. I want to play that type of gun, and I don't want to have to go switch up my class because one, I have to use like a sniper rifle, get kills with a revolver that sucks just to have a chance to unlock a machine gun that I really want to try because it's so good. I really don't want to switch up my style just to unlock another type of gun. It's just, I really don't want to do that. And Call of Duty making me have to do that just makes me, again, I don't want to play the game. I want to put it down. I want to turn off my PlayStation and just go to sleep or just go on Helldivers 2, which is a fantastic game. And if you haven't tried that out yet, I definitely would recommend it. And if you're on Xbox, rip. That's basically it. Rip. Just get yourself a PC or just move on to the superior console. One last thing that I can think of that I want to get rid of is the skin updates. I remember a time when Call of Duty would release a trailer and everyone would be so excited to see what new maps were going to be released, what new gun was going to blow our minds, and what new zombie map was going to take us to an exotic place and have us try to solve Easter eggs until we were bored of it. God, I remember the zombies, Easter eggs, and how long we would all spend on maps going from round to round, trying to figure out what the Easter egg meant, and just spilling all of our theories on Reddit, Tumblr, Facebook, or wherever we could. And we would beg our parents to spare $15 to buy the DLC. Now, the only trailer and updates we get in Call of Duty are basically for skins, which aren't even that good and run the risk of being irrelevant in a couple of years. Unlike Fortnite, which lets you keep your skins from the beginning, Call of Duty decides, hey, you don't get to keep them. Too bad, so sad. I'm still angry about not being able to keep my Rambo or John McClane skin. Heck, I really wanted to buy the T800 and T1000 skin because every time you got shot, a piece of the skin falls off and reveals more of the ectoskeleton. But because it was in Warzone 1 and because they announced that nothing was going to transfer over, I didn't even bother spending my money. And again, they did a fantastic job with the skins, and it sucks that it wasn't more popular because of the fact, of course, you weren't going to see it ever again in Warzone 2. But besides that, I think this new COD game will make or break this series for me. When it comes to the modes, I know it's going to include modes like Team Deathmatch, Kill Confirmed, and some of the other well-known modes we've come to enjoy and hate at the same time. I hope we get something like Sticks and Stones again, Gun Game. One in the Chamber was one of the best modes I ever had fun with. It was super fun, and I hope we get new modes as well. Because as much as I love Gun Game, Sticks and Stones, and One in the Chamber, I would love to experience some new stuff. Maybe a mode that we thought would be really dumb but ends up being really fun. Again, Treyarch is really good at making up some good modes. Heck, I really wouldn't mind if they went back to the old Black Ops system where you can earn in-game money and you had to spend this in-game money to unlock guns. And there was no way to earn the in-game money unless you played the game and earned it. You couldn't buy it with real-world money. You had to grind like everybody else. And if they did that, I would love that. I really would, but knowing Activision now, they wouldn't even try that because if they see dollar signs to be made, they're going to make that money. Which is a shame because in Black Ops 1, you could bet the in-game money against other players in different modes. And I mean, it really didn't count as gambling because one, you weren't gambling real money. You could never gamble real money. Everything was in-game money, which you couldn't buy. And that'd be really fun, gambling without actually spending money. I mean, who would have thought? But time will tell, and I really hope that Treyarch blows expectations away and they make a fantastic game, bringing Call of Duty back to its former glory. But I don't know. I don't trust Activision. I trust Treyarch, so I'm in that 50-50 split. I really hope Treyarch really does well because if they don't, I don't know, man. 2024 has been a killer for game studios' reputation. I mean, look at Rocksteady with Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Just shambles, a shell of its former gaming company. Oh my God, how do you go from Batman Arkham Knight, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Asylum to Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League? I mean, just shameful. It makes me angry just to think about that. But anyway, that's it for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will be taking a week break, so there's not going to be an episode this upcoming week because one of my good friends, Santiago, is getting married. So I'll see you guys in 2 weeks and wish them the best. Santiago is a really good friend of mine. He's getting married. And you know what? Good for you, my man. I hope you have a long and happy marriage and you have a very fun honeymoon. But anyway, like I said, I'll see you guys next week and wish me luck. I'm going to be enjoying some fun time with friends and getting ready for a wedding, which I'm going to be officiating. Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to be officiating a wedding. Why, you may ask? Why do they trust me with something that big? I have no idea. I ask myself that every single day until their wedding. I'm going to be like, why did you pick me? Was it because I'm cheap? Was it that why? Or is it because I'm a good friend? Probably because I'm cheap and I'm doing it for free, but who knows? Anyway, I hope you guys have fun, and please pray that I officiate the wedding properly. Please pray. I'm praying for myself. But anyway, that's it for this week's episode. Sayonara, see you later, and have a blessed one. Goodbye.